Welcome back to the Too Much Hockey podcast presented by Kentwood Ford. I am your host, Joshua Marshall, and our next guest is joining us to preview the Oilers and Kings game tonight and talk some Leaf stuff. He's been on with us before. He's a former president, general manager, and head coach in the National Hockey League, and you can find him on Fridays with Kipper and Bourne on the Kipper and Bourne show on Sportsnet. We have Doug MacLean. Mac, how's it going?
Good, good. We're exciting time of year when every night there's games on, so it's kind of a fun time, especially when they really mean something now.
Yeah.
Some surprises, I was caught off guard last night with Florida with a big win and you know, uh, LA beating Vancouver, the Leafs. I thought the Leafs were lucky last night. Stolarz has been real good. He's been a great story for the Leafs. But anyway, it's been a good playoff so far.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It has been. Obviously, the Wild got a big win yesterday as well, and we'll see what
Oh,
kind of
wow.
happens. Yeah, see what happens tonight with the Stars. We'll see if Landeskog finally gets in, and obviously, it's someone you know very well over there is Chris McFarland and what C-Mac's been able to do with that team and
Yeah, yeah.
revamp that team there. But let's talk about the Oilers to start. Obviously, in our Edmonton Oilers report, sponsored by our friends at Shadified Sauna Barbershop here in Edmonton. They are official barber of the Edmonton Oilers, and they are the barber of us too. So they take care of ours truly. And if Mac ever comes to Edmonton, he'll get taken care of very well. Thanks for our friends there at Shadified. So earlier in the day, Mac, we tweeted out that Kane and Klingberg would be returning and Skinner would be starting in net. And Vander Kane will be in a top six role. He'll be playing with Nuge and Hyman, and Klingberg will be playing on the back end in the second pairing with Wallman. Where are you at? Obviously, the game that we just saw them, it wasn't the game that they wanted to have, but where are you at with this game going in and how Kane hasn't played in 10 months and Klingberg hasn't played since March 27th. So you've got a couple of guys that haven't played in quite some time. What do you expect out of those two tonight?
Well, look, Kane, if he's ready to play, can be a valuable guy. There's no denying that he's a prototypical playoff type guy, that brings his best hockey this time of year. So, not playing all year is tough. I mean, he'll play on emotion tonight, and that'll carry him through it. But he's an emotional guy, and it wouldn't surprise me that he'll play pretty well. Klingberg is a veteran, but I'll tell you what, I'm not in love with their blue line. I haven't been all year, and if he can help somehow, some way solidify the back end, that's a big plus for them. But again, that's asking a lot for guys that haven't played and to step in, especially Kane with the tempo being forced to play at every night. It's not easy. Um, I said on Kipper and Bourne show there 6 weeks ago that I had watched LA a lot, and I watched them a couple of games in a row playing at home, and I said, "Hey guys, this is a good hockey team. This team, I am picking them to beat the Oilers." And I hated to say that because I love, obviously, how do you not love McDavid and Draisaitl and everything that goes on there? And of course, Kenny Holland was a great friend. But I think it's going to be a tough series for them. I mean, I know they come back, stormed back the other night, but I still think LA is a pretty good team, and with better goaltending this year, and I'm still worried about the same things I've been worried about the Oilers all along: is lack of depth up front,
Mm-hmm.
lack of depth on the blue line, and average goaltending. Now Skinner shocked us last year. He played great until Game 7, and he let in a weak goal.
Yep.
But he still had a great playoff, and credit to him. So that's going to be fun to watch. I'd love to see the Oilers win the series. I'd love to have another Canadian team advance or a Canadian team advance, and it makes it a little more exciting. But I think they're in tough. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so too. Like here in Edmonton, the Kings are getting no credit, no respect, nothing. Like you listen to every show, they're
Yeah,
not getting any kind of love at all. It's almost even to the point where a lot of it is the Oilers will win the next four, and the series is done in five to
yeah,
that point. And this is why they play the games, and we'll see what happens. But we
yeah.
had
And
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
like LA has been one of the better home ice teams
Yeah.
all year. And, you've got a lot of guys that have stepped up. Quentin Byfield's become a real good young player. And I mean, they've got players I don't know them like, the Eastern teams because you don't see them enough. But I'll tell you what, when I watched them a couple of times in mid to late March, I thought, oh, I would not want to be playing this team in the first round. So we'll see how it shakes out. I would never underestimate McDavid and Draisaitl
No.
and what they bring to the table. But they got to get Boucher, they got to get Skinner, they've got to get some guys playing a lot better than they've played for them recently.
Yeah. And you touched on Skinner there. He's going to start tonight. Career save percentage of I believe it's 891 going into the playoffs. That's second worst among active goaltenders. Linus Omark holds that record for the first, and Seeloff's in Vancouver is third, but obviously the Canucks are out right now. But what does Skinner have to do to kind of get this team to a win tonight? Like, obviously, you can't give up 6 again because they lost, but is this a bounce back effort where he's got to just kind of find that inner confidence in him, or is it just the jitters of this playoffs too much for him?
Well, look, he did it last year, and I would have gone into the series saying the same thing. I didn't think their goaltending was good enough, and yet they go to within one game of the Stanley Cup. And you know what? He was a big part of it. He's got to get on a roll. I mean, the bottom line is he can't give up soft goals. He can't give up bad goals. He's got to be solid for them. And it's a bad feel when you're not 100%. I know they like this guy because he's a character quality guy. I know that, and I've heard that about him. But he's got to make the saves you're supposed to make tonight. That's what he's got to make. And if he does that and stays away from the bad goals, and that's all, and let's not kid ourselves, the bad goals are also a part of a blue line that doesn't play a lot of great defensive hockey. And Ekholm is a big, big loss for this team. And especially it's a big loss to a guy like Boucher, a big loss. So, look, I want to see them win, but I'm nervous.
Yeah. And what do you think of Knobloch's, what he's been able to do with this team? And again, obviously, you talked about them getting to the finals last year. Is it a risk dressing 3 players, pretty much, or 2 players? You could say 3 if you want to count Trent Frederick, who hasn't played a lot of games, in pretty much a must-win game? Because I came in saying this, Mac, that out of all the 16 teams that make it, I felt the Oilers had the most amount of pressure to get to the Stanley Cup.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100.
Go ahead.
100%. A lot of pressure on them, and is it unfair? And you know what? I look back to what happened in the offseason. I was shocked they signed Skinner and Arvidsson. I thought, is that the best they can come up with for a team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals and a team that was looking to add? I mean, Skinner. I mean, he hasn't. What's he played? One playoff game in his career.
Healthy scratch.
And you're looking at a guy that's supposed to go to the Stanley Cup with his team. So I was caught off guard about some of the acquisitions. I didn't think they were great moves, but when you've got McDavid and Draisaitl lugging the mail for you most nights, and Ekholm's been a horse for them, and I want to see them win, but I hope I'm wrong, but I think they're in tough in this series. I really do.
I do too. It could go 7 because these teams are kind of evenly matched, but I just think the Kings they're different, and I've seen a lot.
The Kings cannot let it go 7, because if it goes 7 with McDavid and Draisaitl, if it goes 7, I don't think the Kings are winning it. I think they've got to win it in 5 or 6, or they're going to be in tough, because I would never count out Connor when it's on the line. What he did last year, lugging this team back from a 3-0 deficit, I mean, so I think if the Kings are going to win it, they gotta win it in 5 or 6, and it'll be tough. It'll be tough. And look, the other thing is, Kane is going to take a while, but as the series goes on, Kane will get better and become a more important player for them. So we'll see what happens.
Same with Trent Frederick as well too.
Yeah, yeah, he's a gamer. He's a big time gamer. This kid. So
Is. Let's move over to the Leafs. And our segment with the Leafs will be sponsored by Boston Pizza.
now that's your team, isn't it?
Yes, that is my team, Mac. Yes. I am definitely happy. I'm getting a lot of chirps that the Sens should be up 2-0, not the Leafs. But what have you saw in this series in terms of what do the Sens need to do better? Obviously, there's the whole power play situation, which they cleaned up going into the second and third period last night.
Yeah.
Got out of that funk.
Look, the Sens are a good team, and I like them. And did they deserve a little better fate last night? Maybe. But I'll tell you what, the Leafs are a different team this year because number one, Stolarz. Like this kid is a battler in the net. I love what he's done all year long. Wall's been good as well. It's the best goaltending the Leafs have had 15 years, maybe. I don't know, since Curtis Joseph was there or whoever else. I don't know. But this guy has been really good for them. And both of them have been really good for them. And Tanev and McCabe, finally they got a shutdown pair. To me, they're not top two guys. I'd say they're 3-4, and they don't have a 1-2. But I'll tell you what, they're gamers, they're battlers, and they've played really, really well as a pair. And I think that's good. We see like Benoit. What about the rush he leads last night in overtime? I mean, this is Benoit that led that rush and made the play to Domi. Right. So they're getting some good efforts. There's still something bothering me about their third and fourth line. They're short with being able to put a really good third line together. They move McMahon up and down. And when you got Robertson and Domi together, that's not a prototypical third line in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I wish they could come with they've got a third and fourth line, and they really need a much better third line. We've watched how third lines are become unbelievably important at playoff time. Unbelievably important. And I still don't like the mix of those two lines. So we'll see what they do here. They're top guys. They've got to get it done. I mean, Josh, if they don't win, if that group doesn't win a couple of rounds this year, it is a disaster. Yes. So and the pressure on them is enormous, and they've been really good this year for the most part. Ottawa will not be an easy out. Ottawa will be tough at home. They will be tough at home, and they're playing as well as the Leafs. They're down 2-0. But Allmark killed them in game one. Last night he was better. And, they've got if they win the first game at home, we got a 7-game series here.
Correct. And that building will be rocking. Obviously, it sounds like from what Kyle Bacostas was saying, it doesn't sound like it'll be as full as it always is with Leaf fans there. It's a good job eliminating that. And, have 30% of Leaf fans, which will still be loud, but still have 70%, if not more, Sens fans. You talked about third line. Is Max Pacioretty the guy you would want to see interjected, or is it the age? And it's like we've seen what we've seen with Max, and we know what we get, and he's not that guy.
I don't think you can come to him now. I mean, he's in the social club right now. So I mean, leave him in the social club. I don't see him being able to come in. He's not a young body anymore. He gets banged up. He can give you short stretches. Depending on what happens the next game, you may consider him for experience. I'd be a little nervous putting him in there. But I like Robertson makes me nervous. I don't know. Like, I love what he brings to the table. I see him as a regular season guy. I hope he proves me wrong that he can handle playoff style hockey, because it's a different style of game for a kid like him. And, limited experience. He can score. He's talented. But third and fourth lines at playoff time are different than third and fourth lines in the regular season.
Yeah. Let's finish up on this and move over to the Dallas Stars Colorado series. We don't know if we'll see Landeskog tonight. If we do, obviously it'll be a huge boost to that arena, the Ball Arena, and obviously a boost to there. But Pete DeBoer can still coach his ass off, Mac, and he is one heck of a coach, but you also got one on the other side. Is this series everything that you thought it was going to be and more? What's your thoughts on this series so far?
Yeah, look, it's devastating to me that we've got to lose one of these two teams in the first round. Same as Tampa and Florida. Like I know Gary doesn't want to change his format, but when we're losing two of these four teams in the first round, it's a joke to me. I'm sorry. I don't get this at all. And I know it's minimal differences, but 2 and 3 versus the 2 versus a 7 makes sense to me. It just I don't get it. So anyway, you've got the Rantanen factor. It's a big deal. He's got to be better. He's got to play better. Ottinger's has got to be real good. And he right now, Blackwood has been a big story in the series. Landeskog, to me, if there's any way to play him and you feel comfortable enough, Bednar's got to play him because this guy is one of the consummate pros in the last 10, 12 years in the NHL. He's a winner. And the emotional lift he will give this team, to me, is worth getting him in the lineup. So I hope he plays. But they're two really good teams. Peter DeBoer, yeah, I'm not as high on Peter DeBoer as you are. I think he's a good coach. I know he's had really good teams. I think Bednar is a very good coach. Peter's had a long career, but this team limped into the playoffs. I mean, they limped in without a win in their last 7 going into the playoffs with Ottinger in goal. And I know Heiskanen has, they missed him down the stretch, but to me, this is, should go 7 games. And I tell you, I don't know who's going to win it. Honest. Today I would have to say Colorado has the edge to win the series.
Yeah. And if they get Landeskog back, watch out. That could be what the Stars need to see. Mac, I just wanted to kind of close out on this note. And I know how much Greg Millen meant to you. And it was nice to see that you were able to attend his celebration of life last week. And I had the privilege and the honor in the world to have a meal with Greg, one of his last meals in the media room in Calgary 5 weeks ago. And I know how much he meant to you and your family, and just to kind of share a meal with him and being able to watch him for 30 plus years on Hockey Night in Canada and see the highlights. But our thoughts and prayers are with you guys still, and obviously the Millen family, and continuing that legacy that he's rightfully deserves in terms of what he's done for the game of hockey and this world too. So
a special guy. I met him my first year as an assistant coach in St. Louis. We were at the fitness test, and he walked up to me. We had the shorts on, the T-shirts, and they were getting ready to do their run. And he said, "What's your background?" And I said, "I came from college hockey in Canada." He said, "Oh, that's great. That's all we need around here is another college guy." So that was my introduction to Millsy. But I don't know if you heard the greatest story of all time. After Jacques Martin and I got fired in St. Louis, Millsy always thought he was a bit of a GM, when he was a player. So he kept going. Brian Sutter took over as a coach, and he kept going to Sudsy and saying, "Hey, Sudsy, we got to get Jeff Brown out of Quebec. We got to get Jeff Brown out of Quebec. He's exactly what we needed, and he hates it in Quebec with the Nordics. We got to get him here." So about 3 weeks later, they make the trade for Jeff Brown, and guess who they traded?
Millsy.
Greg Millen. So he gets traded. So he said to me afterwards, over the last 20 years, that I'll never comment on another trade. I'll never talk about who somebody should trade, and he went to Quebec and hated it. Yeah. And then we ended up with him. So I had him my first year in the NHL as an assistant, and I had him his last year in the NHL in Detroit. And as you probably know, he's my son's. Ann and he are my Clark's godparents, and so that's why we've had a special bond for 30 plus years. So I was really thrilled I was able to be at the celebration, and it was tremendous to be there. And he was a special guy, and I still can't believe he's not here. I still can't believe it.
I do too. I went back to Calgary to close out the year, and where I would always sit in that media room he would always be on the wall and right next to me, and he always would make the comment. He's like, obviously, like he would just be mumbling under his own breath, and he would be like jokingly how the players talk nowadays. Oh, obviously, interesting, or got to get pucks in deep, and I couldn't stop laughing, and it was just
Oh yeah. Oh, he's hilarious. He's got a great, and you know what? He had a great feel for the game.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he used to phone me all the time and with ideas as to how they could improve the game. And he was a insightful guy. And I'm telling you, I've had a lot of goalies in my day, but I've never had one that hated practice more than him and hated to get hit with the puck. It was unbelievable.
I love the morning skates, and he hated them because he thought they're
I
I said
know.
that. But yeah, and we do a lot with minor hockey, and he had such
Yeah,
a great ideas with how to create minor hockey.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
what
No,
an
good man.
unbelievable human being, and continuing great stories of him as we can. Because I think at times in
Yeah,
life when we lose people, sometimes we
yeah,
continue to
yeah,
go on in life, but we need to continue the good stories and carry those good
yeah,
stories
yeah.
on.
No, for sure, for sure.
Mac, enjoy the games tonight. All the best to you and Jill and Clark.
Okay,
The rest of
okay,
the great family you have there,
okay.
and we'll chat very soon. So you have a
Okay, man. All the best. All the best to your. Oh no, your Leafs. Yeah, all the best to your Leafs. Yeah, Calgary's out of it, eh? So it's your Leafs now. Okay.
great
Okay. Good luck, man.
thanks.